Welcome back to Bitcoin Commando. Slightly different thing we're doing this evening. I've actually got a good friend here, a very good friend of mine. I've known him for 11 years now, Geoff.
Bit more than that, Paul. Probably like 12, 13 years.
12 or 13 years. Yeah. Geoff is like a mentor to me. I would also say he's filled in as well as like a father type figure. Would you say that as well?
That's because I'm the old git out there.
Yeah, he's the old git. But ultimately, what we're getting across is that he's an old git, and I'm a fairly old git now. You know, we're getting on, aren't we? But it's really the story that we've had, because I've known Geoff many years. Geoff's actually the chairman of a mid-sized company at the moment, aren't you? He's doing very well. But around about 2 years ago, you had a situation where, was it 2 years ago you got into like stocks and shares, didn't you?
Yes, it sort of goes back a few more years.
Go on, Paul. Give us the rundown, mate.
Rather than sort of, I'll try and keep a brief story, because I could go on, because I can ramble on.
Because the big one here is that we're going to talk about gold and silver and crypto, aren't we?
Yeah.
But you started in stocks and shares.
Yeah.
You went to gold and silver.
Yeah.
You had quite a bit of success, you can tell us. And then that's really how you then gain the attention to go into crypto.
Yes,
and that's really what I want to get across, because, I mean, how old are you, Geoff? Do you mind saying?
I'm 6 years of age.
6 years of age, right. Okay, carry on. Tell us about it.
I think it all started, as Paul knows me, I'm a person who has been fortunate enough to have a good job now. As Paul has said, chairman of a medium-sized company, small to medium-sized company, which I enjoy. Takes up a lot of my time, a lot of responsibility and so forth. But a few years ago, I've been somebody who's had some money, had a property, etc., and through actions of my own, nobody else's, lost everything, absolutely everything.
Everything, lost everything.
And that had an effect on my bank balance, housing, health, etc. And as you know, I've had to sort of build myself back up.
Yeah.
So a few years ago, I was fortunate enough. My good father passed away and left me.
That wasn't fortunate.
No, that
obviously,
was the unfortunate thing. That he passed away. But the fortunate bit was that he, bless him, he left me a sum of money. It was only a small amount of money. He wasn't sort of wealthy or anything like that. And at my age, because I'd lost everything, it was a case of how can I actually utilise this small amount
as opposed to going out spending it, which you would have done in a past life.
Absolutely. So I invested in two kind of educational packages, one which was about gold and silver, and the other one which was to do with Forex trading. Gold and silver I really didn't do anything about at the time.
Although I was quite bullish about it at the time when I
it wasn't really doing anything. It was quite sort of I didn't understand it, but Forex excited me because it was quick, fast moving. I did the course, learnt about looking at charts and so forth, and from an educational point of view, it was good, but from a time point of view, it took just too much time. I couldn't do that as well as my job. My job was the priority and took all my time. And I then started to look into stocks and shares as well, because I could see the charts and look into stocks.
You've got that kind of mind though, haven't you? I mean, knowing him, you work that way, don't you? Very much the facts and figures.
And sort of playing the detective, if you like, of what has been in the past and what can happen in the future and so forth. But in my initial stages of stocks and shares, I actually lost quite a bit of money, which actually mortified me because...
Mortified me?
Well, it wasn't actually the fact that I was losing my money. It was actually, this was money that my dad had really worked hard for, and it started to make me feel ill because I looked at it, it was his money that I was wasting and not my own money. So I kind of halted that a little bit, but I then went back into gold and silver, and I was following a guy who I still do follow about gold and silver and miners and so forth, and I delved into that in more detail. Cut a long story short, stocks and shares I've done okay with, but it's not been spectacular. But gold and silver, I've actually recouped my initial losses.
All your losses that you had over that period, over how long was that? The next year? Was it next year?
It was probably over a 12 to 18 month period, and so that that was from that point of view, and I started to learn about. It wasn't the miners were speculative, but they went up so much more percent. If gold went up 2%, the miners went up 10% and so forth.
Yeah.
But what I started to appreciate about gold and silver was it was a store of wealth.
Yeah.
I started to read up more about gold and silver, and the actual risk level. Gold and silver could go up a lot, and if it went down, it wasn't going to go down too much. You were never going to lose all your money on it, and it retained that store of wealth, that value, as it were, that wasn't going to go around. So that has continued.
And always has done that, hasn't it? Always has done throughout history, hasn't it?
And I still have a fair proportion of my money in gold and silver.
Yeah.
Then came along a thing called cryptocurrency, and as you know, Paul, I'm a bit of a Luddite. I don't really understand technology.
It took a while to get into computers, but you did eventually. It's the same story as a lot of people, really, isn't it?
I
kept putting it off.
And you mentioned it to me, and some time went along. And Paul has always been good to me. He's always picked up the phone and said, "Geoff, there's an opportunity here." And Paul has never given me any duff information. It's always, if you've said anything, it's like, yeah, okay, I've got to look at this.
It's done well so far, hasn't it?
It has, because Paul gave me a phone call just a few months ago and mentioned the organisation Swiss Gold Global. And I thought I'd have a look at it. It was cryptocurrency, and gold and silver. So we'd hit on something that we both understood. So we went through it. I joined as a paid associate, as it were, and I started mining.
I mean, you knew gold and silver you were sorted. You knew the potential gold and silver in the platform anyway, but the mining was obviously, it was a bit of a punt initially, wasn't it?
It was, and the thing is, even now, I don't really fully understand it.
You don't have to, though, do you?
No, but I can understand is that as long as what you're doing is controlled and you don't put all your money into it. You only do what you feel is comfortable.
Risk assessment.
The risk is totally down to the individual. It has to be. So you actually weigh that up as well. You don't put everything into it, which I haven't. But at the time when you and I sat down and I put some money into it,
that was over. How long ago was that? About over a year ago, wasn't it?
Well, no, this was cryptocurrencies.
Oh,
this was only about 3 or 4 months ago. I kind of thought at the time this is almost too good to be true, but I've actually put some money in, and the beauty about it is this. So again, you know how afraid I am of technology. So setting up a wallet
first,
moving bits around from A to B was like, how am I going to do that? But actually, once you apply yourself, it's very, very easy. And we've all heard of this saying, if I can do it, anybody can. But that is true.
But it definitely is.
So I've got this Bitcoin wallet. I've got a wallet that's sat there. I've got mining contracts that are working in the background. And every day pings up on my email bits which are actually come from the mining contracts and actually paid into my wallet. It's my wallet. It's not actually Swiss Gold Global's wallet. It's my wallet. It's like a bank account, but it isn't a bank account. And I can see every day that those bits in that Bitcoin wallet is increasing. And there's actually a button when I go into my account, there's a button that I can convert that to sterling, pound notes. So I can actually convert that, whether it be on a daily basis, if there's enough, or on a weekly basis, into sterling. That sterling, there's also another button within the wallet that says transfer to bank account, which is totally in my control. So I've got this facilities, out pops the bits, I can convert that if I want to.
But you're actually compounding at the moment.
What I'm doing is actually putting that money, when it gets to a certain level, I'm putting that straight back into an increasing sort of the mining power, which again increases the payout.
Absolutely.
So I'm at the stage where I have to admit that obviously the bits that are paid out can go up. And can go down.
And we've seen that with the price of Bitcoin obviously over the last couple of months.
So that could go up, the way things are going, or it could go down. But it's the thing is, I'm not only getting these bits out which can convert to actual money, but I'm actually enjoying it as well.
Mm.
But then the road to actually cryptocurrency I've really enjoyed.
Yeah.
I enjoy the reasoning behind. I mean, the one thing about gold and silver was the whole thing about the economics, the banking situation around the world is collapsing as we speak now, and it's only a question of time.
Yeah, I agree.
It could be 6 months, it could be a year, it could be 6 years, it could be 10 years, but it's, you know, it will.
There's
happen.
only one thing.
It's only one way. So it's about being smart with your money and making your money work hard for you and being sensible about it as well, because there is always risk. But then again, there's risk if you go out.
There's risk of leaving it in the bank at the moment, isn't there? I mean, big time. I think one of the things that was...
Sorry, I hope that...
No, I think one of the things that was surprising about... We talked about gold and silver, we obviously introduced the crypto, obviously, and so on and so forth, but Geoff didn't stop there. Geoff's one of those that will go out and he really does start doing the research, to the extent where he comes around now and he's telling me a lot about what's going on. But what you did to go away, not just Bitcoin that you set off with, you actually bought Ether as well, didn't you?
Yes,
Ethereum.
Yeah.
Tell us what happened there.
Well, again, it was...
You don't have to tell us how much you got.
No.
Tell us
the story is I subscribe to a publication, and there's a guy who, I won't mention any names because it's not really right for me. I don't know what on these videos what you can and cannot do, but he's a well-respected guy. I enjoy reading his articles and so forth. And one day he popped up and I read his story and said, the story was, you've heard about this cryptocurrency. If I was you, I'd put the price of a good dinner on buying some Ether. Then I was scratching my head, because a good dinner for me is 20 quid.
Right. Yeah.
Just for him, it was probably like 300 or 400.
Yeah.
But I thought, no, I like this guy. I thought I can see where he's coming from. Again, he wasn't being go and spend out a lot of money. Put some money in that you could actually afford to lose if you did lose it, which is you know. We don't want to lose money, that's the thing, but put the amount of money that you
feel at a time that you feel comfortable with, isn't it?
So I bought the equivalent of 40 Ether coins at the time, and they were £8 at the time. They, as you know, I try not to be too greedy, so when things go up, especially when things go up, I try and sort of sell. So I unfortunately...
That's what you've been doing prior, haven't you?
Yeah, I sold 20 Ether coins when they got up to I think they were something like £60, and I thought, wow, I'm going to sell them quick.
Still a massive profit.
Exactly, because I thought these are going to go down, and they didn't. They kept on going up and kept on going up. So they are now, as we speak now, I think they're about £250.
Right.
What I have seen since I've been interested in cryptocurrency, what is Bitcoin, Ether, and so forth, is that the traction of this is just getting massive. I'm now actually in conversation over dinner or something. People bring up the subject of cryptocurrency, but it's not, oh, this is cryptocurrency, it's mad, it's bonkers. This is something really going on. There's something behind this, and I do think. We're not at the start, but if you look at the life cycle of what this potentially could be, we are at the start.
We got over 100 years left still mining the Bitcoin. Ethereum is breaking boundaries with regards to the amount of different applications that can be built on the top of it. You've got other altcoins as well that serve specific needs, don't they?
Yes.
I think you look at the Swiss gold. What I like about that, it's not just Bitcoin that you can mine. You can mine Ethereum and Dash.
Yeah.
You got Litecoin as well, can't you? So it is literally all in one platform. It's just a brilliant story what's happened, isn't it? You know. And
well, it is. I mean, I as you know, it's I haven't invested that much really in all things being considered, but it is actually paying out £30 a day at the moment.
You've got 30 quid a day.
And the thing is, it actually. When I come home in an evening, I normally don't get home till about 7:30, 8 o'clock, so forth, and I'll look at sort of my account and everything because I'm interested in it. I think my partner thinks I'm a bit gondulali and so forth, and I bore her to tears because I tell her about the price of things and so forth.
Yeah.
But it fits in what I'm doing because I have got a high pressure job. It's very stressful. I haven't got much time, especially during the week. So and it fits in.
Well, I just told you about the one of my mates met the Bitcoin granny. I said that 84 years old. 84 years old. This woman didn't even tell her husband that she was doing it. He was out to work or whatever he was doing. Didn't tell her. Got involved in mining, and is doing extremely well now. Husband obviously on board because she's made loads of profits and stuff like that. So I think the key is here is that it doesn't matter what age you are. Just look a little bit more into it, and it doesn't matter if you're a 20-year-old just starting off, 18-year-old, or you're 65, you're 70, 84.
Absolutely. Do you know, you showed me that video, well, it actually was a picture. I didn't actually see it, the Bitcoin granny.
Oh right, yeah.
And the one thing that amazed me about that picture was the smile on her face.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because it's again. Always be careful with your money, whatever you're spending your money in. It's something that, especially with the banking system and so forth, as you said, you got your money in the bank. Is that safe? Who knows? But enjoy it as well. You've don't sort of get in the corner saying you're counting up your pennies, but enjoy the fulfillment that you can. I mean, as you know, the fact is, if you've got a certain amount of wealth, for me, it means that I can actually give, if my son is actually wanting something because he's going through university, I can actually say, son, or whatever, or he's going on holiday, so I can actually, give him €100 and whatever. It's not about giving them, but
you can just transfer him cryptocurrency for free, Geoff. Come on.
That's true. He hasn't got a wallet yet, but I'm working on it.
It's weird that we're having to try and educate the younger generation, isn't it? I mean, it's just,
actually, having said that, I did actually. He knows this because I actually paid him some money the other day, and he said, "Well, that's for." And I said, "I kind of was cheating a little bit, but I put some money into. I bought him 2 tokens, ether tokens, when they sort of just retraced a little bit,
right?
And then they increased. They increased by.
To the high.
I think they retraced back to about 170, and then they went up to £300. Wow. So it's like I gave him some money. I said that's the profit. He didn't buy the ether tokens. I actually got them for him, but it was just it gave me enjoyment just to see that happen and to give him the money.
Well, it was the same as me. It was like I introduced it to my daughter last year or so. A year just before we had the massive run, and I think it was like 25-30 quid or something that was given to her in Bitcoin at that point. And she went out and pretty much spent it straight away, but the same amount 1 year later she's learnt a lesson because that was over £200 now.
Right.
Just for, so lesson learned from her. Right. She's still not fully on board, probably like your son, but at the end of the day this is coming, isn't it? They're going to have to look at this.
If I gave my son 500 quid and I said, there you go, there's a starter, I think he would. I think it's just but the thing is with this, you actually don't. You could do it with lots of money, but you could do this with very little money, and with the sort of if you're willing to
£30 start to get a mining contract, isn't it?
Well, yes, and if you plough back what the bits that you get from the mining contract, compound it, then it's can very quickly sort of build up.
Well, I mean, we put a video out that shows, I shows a few figures, and these. You just have to do the due diligence yourself on what the mining contracts are currently paying out, what's the potential going forward, what's the highs, what's the lows, and then just work it out for yourself, isn't it? What you can afford, albeit on a monthly basis. I mean, the whole part of this is literally, you're investing in an alternative system that can help you if that's that system we're currently using, I've been using for over 100 years. Also, goes down.
Yeah, and I think the one thing with the Swiss Gold Global is I haven't actually done it yet because I've before you introduced me to the organisation, I'd already had some sort of gold and silver which is stored away somewhere else, as it were. But what I like about this is if you could actually you build up with the mining contract, and you can actually convert that to money actually within the same umbrella
Platform.
of Swiss Gold
Yeah.
Global, convert that to money and then buy
Gold
gold
and
and
silver.
silver. But actually one thing, because the guy that I followed for gold and silver, he said, be careful where you buy your gold and silver from, because you can actually pay a high premium on top of the spot price for gold and silver.
Yeah.
What I noticed, because I looked in what you had to pay for gold and silver in Swiss Gold Global, there wasn't a premium to be seen.
No premium.
It was. There are other big bullion companies that you buy.
Well, it's Hardware Arrest is the number one line on, isn't it?
That's right. But the price was, so they're not putting a premium on and so forth. There's obviously a transaction charge that whatever, but yeah. So that's a good principle. You could split.
Can swap and change it between the platforms, between the investments really. So you've basically got Ether. You can mine Ether, Bitcoin, Dash. I'm trying to think of the other one, Litecoin, within the platform. You can save monthly via gold and silver, and you can also, profits that come out of any one of those can actually be diverted into
whichever
whatever you want.
Sort of portal, whether it's just precious metals or whether it's mining contracts and so forth. So,
I mean, you look at gold and silver. How are you with regards to gold and silver? Do you have a certain percentage that you go for, like a certain amount of gold and a certain amount of silver that you hold, or preferred, or?
Well, again, I was listening to somebody last night, and they were, the percentages vary, but they sort of say that somebody with investments or savings between 10 and it's going more towards the 20%.
I think because it started off at 10, didn't it? But people are starting to switch on it.
I think as things are beginning to look a bit flaky. I mean, look at the markets; they're very volatile, but they're flatlining. So look at the politics around the world, what potentially could happen. So actually now, fund managers, the so-called experts are sort of saying more towards the 20% of your savings should be in gold and silver. And so you could split that, that 20% so much in gold and silver and cryptocurrency sort of thing. But again, it's a personal thing. As I would want to say, if there was a complete stranger in this room, I'd be excited about what I'd be saying and telling them, but I would be saying to them, you have to be comfortable with what's being said.
Don't go out on a limb.
No, you do your own sort of, you put your own thoughts. Actions speak louder than words, so talk to people who you know and so forth that you can see, and then you do whatever you feel comfortable at the end of the day. I've got to be careful because you know me in terms of I'm a business person, and I love to see things grow and develop, and at the moment I'm seeing this pot of cryptocurrency growing quite a bit, so I have to rein myself in because you'd be tempted to put a lot more, but exactly what people sort of have said about it, it's happening, and more so. So, but again, you just have to do what you feel comfortable.
I think obviously we don't know what the curve of Bitcoin is going to be. We know what the general curve is, and it's up, and obviously all speculation is on the fact that in the next 2 years or so you could be seeing Bitcoin at £10,000, let's say. If it in the next 20 years, then they're looking, banding around figures of 1 million, 100 million, which is a distinct possibility. So really, you've got different people that are working in this market, aren't you? You've got the speculators that are trading these coins. We discussed that earlier, didn't we? And they're literally waiting for that little recession within the chart. Or minute by minute, literally, they can be earning money. But that's fairly high risk, isn't it? You've got to know what you're doing.
Absolutely. I mean, anything in life, whether it's house prices, investments of any kind, it's never ever a dead straight line up or line down. So you are always going to get sort of a pause, if you like, and maybe a slight retracement before it goes up. Whatever you're actually buying and selling. And yes, you're right. If you're doing it with cryptocurrency.
There's a lot of volatility.
Yeah, it is. with that volatility comes lots of opportunity, and you can work that. But the risk becomes that much higher because you're dealing with uncertainties, and at the moment, there is a lot of volatility. So
I've said it all along, and I've said to anybody coming into this, you've got to look at where you're going to be in the next year, 2 years time. You're looking about where this market's going to be in a day, next week, a month, 6 months. Who knows? It could be up, down, here, there, everywhere, couldn't it? But ultimately, once you've done the research, you can see where this market is going to go. And for me, it's just a case that it's a 1 to 2 year plan, and bit by bit, what you can afford, and keep compounding, especially on the mining side, because that just seems to be.
Yeah, I mean, you that would be the ideal way. Of course, if you're mining Bitcoin, or
makes sense that you mine it as opposed to.
But you could, if you wanted to, you mine Bitcoin and you store up the Bitcoin, and then you store the Bitcoin somewhere. I mean, I'm mining. I'm quite proud to become a Bitcoin miner. I go to bed at night sort of think I'm a pioneer. I'm a Bitcoin miner.
You are, mate. You are. Congratulations.
So,
we'll wrap it up here because it's short and sharp. Like I said, I've known Geoff for a long time. The story of Geoff is absolutely brilliant, and really what it shows everybody, I think, is that you're never too old.
No, absolutely.
Just never too old, eh?
Yeah. Enjoy. You've got to look after your money. You have got to be a little bit risky with your money because
you've got to do the research, haven't you?
You've got to do the
research. Got to go out and do the research on this.
But you've got to look at things that's going to make your money work for you, because sitting in the bank or doing anything isn't. But
I won't do anything with the bank myself personally, but anybody who's seen my video so far know where I'm at with regards to that. Anyway, listen, Bitcoin Commando, say goodbye, Geoff. Bitcoin Commando out.